Northwest Indiana.
President Trump signs an order to reclassify marijuana as a less dangerous drug, and how the change is already impacting Chicago.
And it started with handwritten cards for people who felt alone during the holidays. 4 years later, this local effort is reaching far more people, and for very different reasons. I hope all is well. I'm Terrence Lee.
And I'm Sylvia Perez. Weather is first at 4.
Meteorologist Mark Strell is in for Emily with the first check of the forecast. Hey, Mark.
Hey, guys. About 45 minutes ago, the clouds were down to about here, kind of eclipsing the top part of the buildings downtown. What's happened is colder, drier air has pushed in. We have some gusty winds this afternoon, and what that signifies is a drop in temperatures as well. Winds have been gusting over 35 miles per hour last hour at O'Hare. You can still see it's pretty blustery with some mid-20s across much of the area, but the winds have swung more to the north and to the northwest. Temperatures falling as well. Check out the spread here. We've got temperatures nearly 50 degrees across northwest Indiana and 50s right along the lakeshore. Contrast that with temperatures in the 30s already to the north and to the northwest. And that is where our weather is coming from. That's our future. I'll tell you more about that in a moment.
Well, the Chicago Bears shocked fans last night with a letter saying they're checking out Northwest Indiana for a new stadium.
So how are officials in Illinois and Indiana reacting to this? And could the team actually leave the state? We do have team coverage for you tonight. First up, political reporter Paris Schutz. Paris.
Yeah, Sylvia and Terrence, judging by the reaction from Indiana Republican Governor Mike Braun, the Hoosier State might be ready to roll out the red carpet to lure the Chicago Bears across state lines. Governor Mike Braun tweeted, "The Chicago Bears recognize Indiana's pro-business climate, and I am ready to work with them to build a new stadium in Northwest Indiana," ending with, "Let's get it done." This comes after Bears CEO Kevin Warren penned a letter to season ticket holders yesterday saying that they are expanding their search once again throughout Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana. Indiana State Representative Earl Harris has led the effort to lure a new facility to the region and says they are serious.
There's lots of space in Northwest Indiana where we can make this work. When you look at East Chicago, Gary, Hammond, you get pretty close to the state line. I think that is going to be important in terms of people that live in Chicago, people that live in Illinois, making it easy for them to come over to Northwest Indiana to still go and attend Bears games. When you look at the highway, having that access in, when you look at even the South Shore and the train, having that easy access in. So the closer to the state line, I think it makes it even more attractive. And if I can add to that, I'm pretty confident from what I know in terms of space, when you look at the Bears and Chicago and where they are now, moving to Arlington is actually a further trip than them coming to East Chicago, Gary, or Hammond.
But the reaction in Illinois, not so positive. Governor Pritzker called it a, quote, startling slap in the face to the beloved and loyal fans. Meanwhile, State Representative Cam Buckner, who has been very critical of the Bears' desires, said, quote, as people across Illinois are reeling from the weight of rising property taxes, they are not interested in a professional sports franchise cutting to the front of the line for a property tax break. Even Arlington Heights State Representative Mary Beth Canty, who is sponsoring the legislation the Bears seek, said, quote, I encourage the Bears to engage with the General Assembly in good faith, without threats, so we can find a path forward to keep the Bears at home in Illinois. The legislation would give them the ability to negotiate their future property tax payments with the village of Arlington Heights, rather than pay full assessed value. That's something that could save them millions of dollars. Meanwhile, Mayor Brandon Johnson said if the search is once again open, then a city site should be in play.
The Bears belong in the city of Chicago. The Chicago Bears belong in the city of Chicago, right? And I've said repeatedly that the door is always open for conversations, and Kevin Warren did call me yesterday. We didn't get a chance to connect, and I still firmly believe that their best position is in Chicago, and it's evidence. The evidence is clearly speaking for itself.
And we're going to have a lot more on this tonight at 10 p.m. on the Chicago Report. Kind of reminds me of that popular meme of the man holding hands with the woman and then the other woman walking by. That woman is Northwest Indiana, and the other one, the spurned one, is Arlington Heights, it looks like right now. And fans, of course, certainly been burning up the radio dials today with reaction. Let's get to Brett Bagansky in the newsroom for that part of the story.
Yeah, because this latest stadium drama has fans asking, Paris, as you know, is this for real?
Brett has been talking to a lot of people today, and he's joining us now with the latest on that. Brett.
You know, we are 2 nights away from the Bears playing their arch rivals here at home. There's playoff implications and division supremacy on the line. Instead, some would argue the focus is now on Kevin Warren and the Bears' future home. So we stopped by 670 The Score, Chicago sports radio station. The common response from callers today, Kevin Warren had one job, and that was to get the new stadium built for the Chicago Bears. But you got to keep this in mind. The Bears placed a bid for the former Arlington Park Racetrack in 2021 and finalized the purchase in February of 23. So that was about a month after Kevin Warren was named Bears president. He formally took over in April of that year. So I spoke with Lawrence Holmes, afternoon host from 670 The Score, and he was talking about the timing of yesterday's announcement. Why now? But there's no denying that this stadium situation has now become a bigger story, and it will be talked about during a national broadcast.
The idea that the Bears can throw this back into the public square with that and get 20 million people who are probably going to be watching Saturday night to think about whether or not the Bears should be in Chicago or in Chicagoland, if it matters if they're in Northwest Indiana. All of those things are fair game to ask.
So Lawrence told me the other sentiment from the fans was Kevin Warren was brought in as a deal maker. He was responsible for the Minnesota Vikings stadium getting done. Why hasn't it happened here in Illinois? Another question, did the Bears and Kevin Warren underestimate the political scene? Sylvia.
All right, Brett. We want to turn now to stalled budget talks. Mayor Johnson says he will do whatever it takes to avert a government shutdown.
Meanwhile, alders are pushing their own budget plan, one that leaves out his corporate head tax. That means he might not veto it. The new plan raises taxes on plastic bags and liquor sold for off-premise drinking. It also allows video gambling, adds congestion fees for Uber and Lyft rides in a bigger part of downtown.
I disagree that the only way to replace the revenue from the corporate head tax that would fund our community safety endeavors is with fines and fees on working people across this city. I think that it is the wrong solution. It is a one-time revenue that is entirely speculative and would result in debt collectors harassing residents who have fallen behind on some of their bills.
The budget, the revenue plan, and the management ordinance could all get final approval from the city council as soon as Saturday. The hard deadline to avoid a shutdown is December 30th.
Congress is likely headed for a holiday break without a solution for millions of Americans who will see their health insurance premiums skyrocket. The House voted yesterday to pass a Republican health care package, but it does not extend the expiring Affordable Care Act subsidies, which sunset at the end of the month. Instead, it would allow groups of people to pool money for cheaper health care coverage. This proposal now goes to the Senate, where it's unlikely to pass for a vote in January. Today, House Democrats took to the Capitol steps to call for an immediate vote on their bill to extend, that is, the expiring subsidies.
Under no circumstances should the House of Representatives adjourn until we successfully extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits for tens of millions of Americans.
Without an extension, Illinois families that use the ACA can expect a jump of about 78% in their premiums next year. To put that in dollars and cents, the average will go from $260 to $464 a month.
A therapist who used to work in Chicago is now named in a wrongful death lawsuit.
It alleges that he sexually abused one of his clients for several years while they were receiving mental health treatment downtown.
The victim died by suicide just last year. Casey Cronus is live with what we're learning today. Casey.
And the allegations outlined in those court documents are troubling. They include claims that sexual abuse began when the victim was just 14 years old. Filed on behalf of Annabelle Hodder's estate, the lawsuit names her former therapist, Matthew Rounds, and 2 institutions where he worked, Insight Psychological Centers and Chicago Psychological Health and Wellness. In 2016, the lawsuit states Annabelle started therapy for depression, That's when the family's attorney says Rounds began sexually assaulting her, claiming that Rounds even asked Annabelle, who lived in Northwest Indiana, to introduce him to other minors. At one point, the lawsuit states he allegedly met Annabelle and other teen girls at a motel in Hammond, where he is accused of paying them for sex acts. In response to the allegations, Insight tells us they will respond through the legal process, while the phone number for Chicago Psychological has been disconnected. It was the alleged abuse that the family's attorney says led Annabelle to take her own life last summer.
A therapist cannot have a sexual relationship with their patients. And when I say the word sexual relationship, it makes me cringe, because this wasn't a relationship. This was a violation, and this was an assault. And unfortunately, Annabelle was not able to find a new therapist after Matthew Rounds. Her ability to trust a therapist was destroyed based on the actions of Matthew Rounds, and unfortunately, she passed away by suicide.
Rounds currently works for Sagent Behavioral Health in Minnesota. Yesterday, we emailed the complaint and asked for a statement. Soon after, Rounds was taken off their website. A spokesperson writing, "We just learned of this lawsuit. Due to the seriousness of the allegations, we have placed the employee on leave while we investigate. Our heartfelt condolences to the family on the loss of their daughter." Now, right now, no criminal charges have been filed against Rounds. We did reach out to him, but have not yet heard back. There is a status hearing in the civil suit scheduled for next month. Reporting live downtown, Casey Cronus, Fox 32, Chicago.
We are following breaking news sources telling Fox News that police have identified a person of interest in that deadly mass shooting at Brown University and have a warrant out for an arrest. Police are also investigating a possible link between the shooting at Brown and the killing of an MIT professor. 2 people were killed, 9 injured when a gunman opened fire inside an engineering building at Brown last Saturday. On Monday, about 50 miles away in Massachusetts, an MIT professor was shot in his home and died at the hospital on Tuesday. The FBI previously said it knew of no links between the 2 cases. We're going to have more on this on the news at 5.
Former NASCAR driver Greg Biffle died today in a plane crash at Statesville Regional Airport, North Carolina. His wife and 2 kids were also on the plane. Now, officials haven't named the victims, but the family has. The National Transportation Safety Board and FAA are investigating. This is just the latest in a string of plane crashes this year, including one yesterday in West Chicago that killed 2 people. Those victims haven't been identified either. Records show the plane in that crash was registered to Peregrine Aviation, LLC, with an address at a house in Winfield. The Cook County State's Attorney's Office is starting a new program to keep teens out of jail. They're using $1 million to give academic and after-school support to teenagers who might otherwise be locked up while waiting for trial for serious crimes. Sun-Times says the program will start early next year. It'll focus on boys aged 13 to 17 from Lawndale and Little Village.
President Trump is signing an order to expand access to marijuana.
But the reclassification doesn't exactly make weed illegal. We'll break down the regulations ahead of 4:30.
And the Trump administration taking a major step towards ending transition-related care for minors.
The Illinois State Treasurer just gave a big cash boost to local food banks.
And Pope Leo appointing a fellow Chicagoan to a major role in the church. An update now on a story from yesterday. A grieving mother is demanding that Chicago police and the Cook County State's attorney charge an undocumented migrant.
The man says he was a passenger, not the driver, in a car that caused a crash. Tia Ewing is now hearing from another family that wants some answers.
Yeah, another family, because in that car with Prince Sullivan was a young lady, and that family is speaking out through their attorney. The family of Deanna Kulovitz has retained Clifford Law offices since she was killed. The 23-year-old was the friend of Prince Jamel Sullivan. They went to De La Salle High School together. Sullivan was set to drop Kulovitz, off at home, returning from a night out when Sullivan's car had some type of mechanical issue. Pulled over, and that's when the car belonging to Miguel Angel Navarrete Palacios crashed into them, causing both cars to catch fire. Sullivan and Kulovitz, a 911 dispatcher, were instantly killed. Kulovitz followed in her family's footsteps, with nearly everyone in her family serving the city of Chicago. She was the newest to join that tradition with OEMC. The family's attorney, Joseph Murphy, sent a statement to us, and here's some of what that statement said. As their attorney, I am conducting a comprehensive investigation into exactly what happened leading up to the crash. We will pursue every lead and leave no stone unturned. Deanna's family is shattered. They are entering the holidays with an empty seat at the table and a silence in their home that cannot be filled. We will seek justice for Deanna and ensure those responsible are held fully accountable. As for Sullivan, of course, you'll remember this. We spoke to his mom, Stephanie Hartley. She said to us that she, too, is calling for accountability.
When you saw that name on that police report,
the first thing came to my mind was, he's a immigrant. He's an immigrant. They're protecting him. And I want justice just in case he try to leave. The detectives don't even call, don't even reply back. It hurts because why is he getting a slap on the wrist and my baby's not here?
So let's kind of walk through what happened and what led up to all of this. Hartley is seeking justice after her son, Prince Sullivan, and his friend, Deanna Kulovitz, were killed in a crash. This happened November 23rd in the 3900 block of South Lakeshore Drive. Police say a speeding Kia Forte ran a stop sign and slammed into Sullivan's Chevy Malibu, sparking a fire that killed both teens, or I should say 23-year-olds. The Kia belonged to Miguel Angel Navarrete Palacios. He's an undocumented migrant from Ecuador. He told us that. He also told police he was not driving and claimed a man he had just met, Isaias Rodriguez, was behind that wheel. Rodriguez later died at the University of Chicago Medical Center. Hartley says she does not believe Palacios' story and is frustrated that no charges have been filed in this case. As for Palacios, he is insured through Kemper Insurance, which provides coverage to undocumented drivers. The Chicago-based company said it could not comment, citing privacy policies, but did say this, quote, "This is a tragic situation and our thoughts are with everyone affected." Of course, this is a story we will stay on top of and continue to follow. Terrence and Sylvia.
Well, this morning, the state sent $100,000 to food pantries across Illinois, including $5,500 for Kids' Sake in Bolingbrook. The money comes from unclaimed refunds and insurance payments. Instead of sitting around, the treasurer sent it to over 80 pantries. And the timing is critical. In November, federal food assistance stopped for many families, and pantries really felt the strain fast. For Kids' Sake was already struggling after thieves stole a catalytic converter from their donation trucks, not once, but twice.
For Kids' Sake needs their trucks to pick up the donated food and items 6 days a week. And they found themselves without their trucks, forced to rent vehicles to make sure they continue to feed and clothe people in need. What those thieves did to For Kids' Sake is unconscionable. This group does so much to help people, and we are happy to be able to do something to help them, especially at such an important time of the year.
The state will release a full list of pantries getting money later today. If you want to see if the state has unclaimed money in your name, check their website. All right, it's time to check the forecast as we take a live look outside and look at the beautiful colors in the sky there. Let's check in with the beautiful Mark Stroh.
It's not as beautiful as that shot there.
No, I love you, man, but no. You're not.
And I got to tell you, about an hour ago, you would not have seen any of that because the clouds were so low, they were covering up and obscuring that camera. We would have been looking at the inside of a cloud. But things have changed. The front has clipped through Chicago, and you can take a look at this. This is our wind gust map, and look where the winds are coming from. They're flowing in out of the west, and then they hit this little convergence area where they're then pulled right up here into parts of Michigan. So the gustiest winds are now on the other side of the lake. Our wind's starting to settle down a little bit here this evening, but what we're also seeing are the temperatures fall off. Look at this. Temperatures along and ahead of that front have been in the 50s, still 50 degrees at Benton Harbor, holding on to 40s across northwestern Indiana, and then you fall off pretty quickly into the mid-30s. We're going down into the 20s and eventually the teens overnight tonight, and this is the leading edge of that cold air. Now, oddly enough, this cold air is only going to be around for one day before we start to warm back up again as we head towards the weekend. I'll tell you more about that in a moment. But wind chills right now already dropping into the upper 20s. Those chills will be pretty pronounced overnight tonight as that colder air moves in. Fortunately, the winds fall off a bit, but here's where we're going. Mostly cloudy skies at 5 o'clock, into the 20s as we go to 9 o'clock, into the teens just after midnight. And before the sun comes up tomorrow morning, we're going to be in the low teens. So it is going to be a very cold night overnight tonight, especially considering our daytime high today actually made it up into the 50s. Now, that was earlier in the day, and we have been cruising downhill ever since, but a pretty good little storm system bringing some snowfall across the Twin Cities all the way down to around Des Moines. As this front goes through, maybe a snow shower or two as we go through the overnight hours. A little bit blustery at times with those temperatures really sharply falling off. So rain ahead of the front, some snow behind the front. Don't think we're going to see much accumulation, but some areas could see a little dusting, a little slickening of the roads. This is a look at Futurecast. Our model's not overly impressed, just a few snow showers here or there. And then tomorrow as we go back into the day, clouds out over the lake, but some sunshine tomorrow, increasingly so as we go throughout the morning. The weekend, we're up, we're down, kind of all around. I'll tell you about that in a moment.
Well, the new Archbishop of New York grew up 14 blocks from Pope Leo.
More on that after the break.
Plus, Chicago State is passing into a new era. The school is gearing up for its first football program. Come on back.
Here come the
Stocks ended up today, but not as high as they were earlier. They dropped from bigger gains after the consumer price index data came out. It showed inflation dropped to 2.7% for the year ending in November, which is better than people expected. In his end of the year speech, the president talked about how he's trying to make life more affordable. He mentioned lowering prescription drug prices and cutting taxes, too.
We wrapped 12 different bills up into one beautiful bill. That includes no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security for our great seniors. Under these cuts, many families will be saving between $11,000 and $20,000 a year, and next spring is projected to be the largest tax refund season of all time.
The president also announced he's sending every U.S. service member a bonus check for $1,776 to honor the country's founding. Right now, the president's approval ratings on inflation and the cost of living are falling.
The Kennedy Center will be getting a new name. The White House just confirmed. President Trump's handpicked new board has voted to rename the iconic building the Trump Kennedy Center. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt wrote on social media the change was approved because of the unbelievable work, quote, that President Trump has done over the last year in saving the building. The Kennedy Center was named after President John F. Kennedy, opening in 1971. It hosts a number of different performances throughout the year, including theater, music, and dance.
Chicago's first Division I football team is coming to the South Side. The university's Board of Trustees just voted to make it happen this week. Kickoff is 254 days away. The Cougars will play as an independent team their first season. That means they can choose their own schedule and play against a wide range of teams. In 2027, they'll join the NEC. After 3 years of hard work, university officials finally made it happen. Coach Bobby Rome II says the same determination that brought football to Chicago State will be part of his team.
I am honored to lead this program. I am grateful for the trust placed in me. Football at Chicago State will be more than wins and losses, guys. It's going to be about building a program built on building men first, character, integrity, and building leaders.
All right, the first game is August 29th, 2026.
Pope Leo is appointing a fellow Chicagoan as the next Archbishop of New York.
Let me begin with potentially my first controversial statement. I'm a Cubs fan, and I love deep dish pizza. That said, I want you to know that I am going to remain a loyal Cubs fan. However, I am going to start rooting for the New York sports teams, and I already love your pizza. I love it a lot.
Bishop Ronald Hicks currently serves in Joliet and actually grew up just blocks away from where Pope Leo was born in South Holland. Hicks will replace retiring Cardinal Timothy Dolan, who's retiring. As I said, Hicks is considered more progressive than Cardinal Dolan. Last month, he endorsed a special message from the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops condemning the Trump administration's immigration raids, which have targeted Chicago in particular. Archbishop-designate Hicks will be installed February 6th, leading the 2.8 million Catholics who make up the Archdiocese of New York.
It started as a simple idea, send cards to people who felt alone during the holidays. A year ago, we introduced you to a local group writing handwritten notes to LGBTQ plus people nationwide. 4 years in, see how this same effort is responding to a much heavier moment.
If you want total health care from a provider you trust,
hi, Blair. Hi.
Right in the palm of your hand, if you want soup, sweatpants, and zero in-person contact, if you want wellness wherever, our virtual primary care delivers with great website manner.
No worries.
So choose your doctor from our profiles and enjoy the healthiest online relationship you've ever had. House calls have evolved. Advocate Healthcare.
Keep cozy with King Heating, Cooling, and
Right now, a major moment today for the U.S. cannabis industry, and it's happening right here in Chicago. Federal officials just moved marijuana from a Schedule I drug to a Schedule III drug.
Today, one of the biggest leaders in the industry is talking about what this change is going to mean for the future. Leslie Moreno is live in River North with details on this. Leslie?
Hey guys, good evening. Yeah, this is a big day for the cannabis industry nationwide. It's the first major federal reclassification of marijuana in decades. President Donald Trump signed the executive order today reclassifying marijuana. The announcement marks a historic change, the federal government moving cannabis from a Schedule I to a Schedule III controlled substance. So what does this reclassification mean? The move formally recognizes marijuana's medical use and eases some federal restrictions for legal cannabis business. It could mean major tax relief, more room to grow, and expanded research opportunities. However, it does not legalize marijuana at the federal level. It doesn't change state laws or automatically fix banking issues. Supporters say it's a major step forward, but not the final one.
This recognizes the decades of advocacy and the millions of Americans that have known for a long time that cannabis has medicinal and therapeutic benefits. 40 out of 50 states at this point have passed medical cannabis laws, and it is nice to see recognition at a federal level that's bringing the federal perspective closer to that of the states. There's approximately 450,000 Americans that are also part of this industry, the regulated state legal cannabis industry. And this will go tremendous strides to helping to normalize this very responsible, very respectable industry.
And talking to the average customer out here, there is also a sense of relief that there is finally some sort of acknowledgement that marijuana has both therapeutic benefits and also medicinal benefits as well. For now, reporting live here in the Loop, Leslie Moreno, Fox 32 Chicago.
Leslie, thank you. Lurie Children's Hospital is looking at some new rules that could ban gender-affirming care for children. Mike Emanuel's breaking down what this federal proposal means.
This is not medicine, it is malpractice.
The Trump administration is coming out swinging against gender-affirming care, which it calls gender mutilation. On Thursday, the nation's top health officials announced a major crackdown on medical interventions aimed at changing genders, with HHS Secretary RFK Jr. saying major medical organizations have failed to protect kids from an ideological agenda.
They betrayed the estimated 300,000 American youth ages 13 to 17, conditioned to believe that sex can be changed. They betrayed their Hippocratic oath to do no harm.
Among the steps announced today, prohibiting hospitals from performing, quote, sex-rejecting procedures, stopping taxpayer dollars from being used on gender-affirming care, and barring gender dysphoria from being protected under disability law.
We are in a weird place in America where we have mixed politics and medicine. And you know what you get when you mix politics and medicine? Politics.
But advocates say this will only harm children with gender dysphoria by denying them the care they need. And some Democrats on Capitol Hill, including the first openly transgender member of Congress, claim Republicans are using this issue to draw attention away from the affordability crisis.
I actually think they think more about trans people than trans people think about trans people. They are consumed with this, and they are extreme on it.
The public will have between 60 and 90 days to comment on the new changes before they're finalized. In Washington, Mike Emanuel, Fox 32, Chicago.
Two of Chicago's senators are calling for a criminal investigation into Donald Trump's Operation Midway Blitz. Tammy Duckworth and Dick Durbin both say there are at least 50 documented instances of immigration agents breaking car windows, entering private property, and pepper spraying and body slamming U.S. citizens. Today, they submitted a criminal referral to the Justice Department over alleged constitutional violations during Operation Midway Blitz. Durbin says they are fully aware Trump's attorney general is unlikely to act on their request, but wants the investigation even after Trump leaves office. The family of a 71-year-old Filipino woman detained by ICE in Indiana for 9 months is calling for her release or deportation. Rebecca Pinyard, a green card holder, is being held at the Clark County Detention Center. Her children went from Kentucky to meet with the Philippine Consulate General to try to get her out. They say she hasn't been getting her medications, hasn't seen the sun in 9 months, and is in deep despair.
At this point, me and my family were just desperate to have her out of the detention center, whether it be by deportation or her release. You know, we just want to make sure that she doesn't, die in there, right? At this point, like, we have real concerns about her health. I'm afraid for her life. Like, I don't want her to die, for that to be the place that she dies in that detention center.
The family is doing everything they can to get her out. Their biggest worry is her health, since she, like I said, has not been taking her medicine. All right, let's take a look outside. We're expecting a 20-degree temperature drop. Are you ready? If not, get ready. Mark is back with the forecast.
Yeah, ready or not. We've got some cold air coming in. It's all a result of this cold front that's marched across Chicago. We've had some rainfall, a little bit of a break there now. You can see kind of a pretty shot as we look downtown, and then a couple of snow showers tonight. Let's advance to tomorrow morning. You can see that we'll have partly cloudy skies. Tomorrow will be much colder than today. Today we actually started out the morning early this morning in the 50s. Tomorrow, not so much. It's going to be a chilly day, but we rebound nicely as we go into the weekend. So we're kind of up and down for the next couple of days, and then we start to moderate our temperatures as we go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, on Christmas Eve, and then into Christmas Day. Those temperatures in the 40s and maybe even the 50s for Christmas. I'll tell you more about that in a moment.
All right. Also, still to come for you for some LGBTQ plus people. The holidays come with distance and silence. Why a local group is answering that with handwritten cards, and why this year matters more than ever.
'Tis the season to save big at
a lot of times it's the holiday season where people who are struggling really wind up feeling it the most.
In one Northwest suburb, people are responding to that feeling. Without speeches, without signs, they are sitting down and writing to someone they may never meet. This time of year has a way of amplifying what people are already carrying. For many in the LGBTQ+ community, that can mean isolation and rejection. In Buffalo Grove, that disconnection meets intention.
Got a stamp and a...
Oh, yeah. There you go. Thank you, thank you.
They still tell me they love me. I'm just not as, I guess, accepted as I'd like to be.
For some, love comes with fine print. Not always spoken, but always felt.
I still have family in my life.
Reed Thompson is a transgender Army soldier in Virginia. 7 years of service, a lifetime of learning which parts of himself others are willing to see.
It's like kind of walking on eggshells. It's one of those things that everybody's kind of agreed not to talk about.
It's love, but if it feels like conditional love, not unconditional.
Exactly.
Reed says the same caveats followed him into uniform. Earlier this year, the Supreme Court cleared the way for a Defense Department policy that allows transgender service members to be removed. It revives a ban first announced years ago and blocked by courts until now. Supporters say it's all about military readiness and cost, claims disputed by medical and advocacy groups.
For a lot of people that are active duty, this is their full-time job. You know, you can be 15 years in and have 5 to go, and you don't have that anymore, so you've got to start over.
What disappears is not just the paycheck. Reed says it's belonging.
When you're there, it's like one big family.
For some who serve, they are still who they've always been. But Colonel Bree Framp says the country simply stopped making room. She is the highest-ranking transgender officer in the U.S. Armed Forces. Like Reed and others, she is on administrative leave without clear footing. Still, information.
Thank you for lifting me up and for offering to lift up so many others who have given to this country.
That gratitude is for the compassion organized without orders. A mission started by one family in Buffalo Grove 4 years ago.
And that first year, we sent about 2,100 cards.
The Pinter Pride Project card campaign matches people across the world through a simple online sign-up.
Last year, we sent more than 50,000 cards.
At Original Bagel in Bialy, Caroline Pinto organized the room with intent. What to say, what to leave out, who those words are for.
Is that there's so many people who have beautiful hearts and want to do something, they just don't know what to do. And when you provide them an opportunity, they jump.
I'll do petty officer first class.
Some show up to teach their kids what care looks like.
We're just trying to let them know that even though the administration may be against them right now, that there are allies everywhere.
Love is love, so we always have told them that, and I think their first Pride Parade, they were 5 or 6, I think, and they've been going ever since, and they love it.
For others, that lesson comes from someone else's table.
I love that my daughter has found a partner, but her partner doesn't have support at home. And so her partner has to hide when they come home for the holidays, and that makes me really sad. So I want to help some other people that might not be able to go home and be their true selves with their families.
For Reed, asking for that kind of care did not come easily.
I didn't know how many cards would be sent overall or how many people could get cards. So if there was someone, I guess, more deserving of a card, I didn't want to take up that spot.
He hit submit anyway, expecting maybe one note.
The days just kept going by, and it's like at least every day I get at least one. Probably my favorite one, this one, it's called a pocket hug, and it says, "This little pocket heart is full of love and hugs, so keep it close and know that you are loved."
No guessing, no reading between the lines.
Love out there is definitely not limited, and there's so much of it to go around, and there's enough of it for you.
To learn more about the campaign or to sign up to write or receive a card, visit BuffaloGrovePride.com. We'll be right back. right, we're taking you back outside. Look at our beautiful city, just showing off.
So
You know
pretty.
what I mean?
I love all these gorgeous city shots.
And the lights, you know, just in full bloom here
Right.
as we go into the,
Tis the
Christmas
season.
season,
Tis.
right? And, you know, we can see them now because about
Yeah.
90 minutes ago, you
Yeah.
really couldn't see much. The visibility was pretty limited, but things are improving visibility-wise. In terms of temperatures, well, they're dropping, and they're going to drop all the way down in the low teens tonight. Quite an adjustment after seeing temperatures in the 50s earlier today. We had some rain. We'll have a couple of snow showers, I think, through the evening. I don't think it's going to be a big deal tonight. Futurecast shows just a little dash of some blue coming through. Enough maybe that could slicken up some of the roads, and be careful because, again, as those temperatures drop, some areas still, you know, wet from the rain earlier. Not a major icing issue, but, you know, always be careful, especially as we kind of pop up and down over the next couple of days. We return to dry conditions coming up tomorrow, and then our forecast models showing a little something coming in early on the weekend. We'll talk more about that as we get a little bit closer. Overnight tonight, look at these numbers, single digits, northwest suburbs. We've got temperatures as cold as 12 degrees here in the city. It's going to be cold everywhere. And then tomorrow, a chilly day, especially compared with today and especially compared to what's coming our way over at least part of the weekend. Daytime highs only in the 20s. So here's what we're looking at right now. We do have clouds around 38 degrees. Winds out of the west at 10 makes it feel more like 31 degrees this hour. Overnight tonight, those temperatures again down into the teens. We've got a good start up to the north. The temperatures have already fallen off close to the freezing point. Rockford 34 degrees, a little warmer here in the city. We're just below 40 degrees. We're in the upper 30s. But here's a look at your satellite and radar. There's the rainfall that we had still across parts of northwest Indiana. There's some snow showers kind of circulating around the upper Midwest. We'll see a little splotch of that later on. But look at these numbers. 50s today. 20s tomorrow, Saturday in the 40s, Sunday in the 20s, Monday in the 30s, and the rest of the week taking us through Christmas back into the 40s. So temperatures are, again, just bobbing all over the place. Again, a couple of snow showers, winds coming out of the north and out of the northwest, ushering in that colder stuff coming our way tonight and tomorrow. Tomorrow is definitely wear the glove day. And then another shot of some colder air coming in as well a little bit later in the weekend as we head back into the second half of the weekend. So tonight, 12 degrees, the overnight low temperature. Tomorrow, a lot of clouds around, temperatures of 26, clearing skies later in the day, but it will be cold. And then again, these numbers up and down, 50s today, 20s tomorrow, 40s on Saturday, 20s again on Sunday with some sunshine. Then we moderate a bit, 38 degrees on Monday, 40s as we head towards Christmas Eve. New Year's, we'll talk about that coming up. Christmas Day right now, I've got 50 penciled in there. Stick around. We're coming right back.
Bears, a 7.
All right, it's one of the biggest debates in the holiday history, all that stuff. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie? The film, of course, starring Bruce Willis, is considered by many as the top Christmas film.
Yeah, but one so-called Godfather of Christmas disagrees. Take a look.
Die Hard a Christmas movie?
No, it's not. It's based around Christmas. Don't fight me on the moon.
It's really messed up.
It's based around Christmas, but if it was also St. Patrick's Day, it would work. You know, yeah. But you couldn't do like Memorial Day, Home Alone. Like, no, it doesn't work that way.
I think Arbor Day works. You could be in a treehouse.
I'm just saying is that, like, listen, I'm kind of the godfather of Christmas nowadays. So, you know, yes, my opinion has some sway in this.
How does he still look like himself as a child? It's kind of crazy.
Drinking your water and minding your business.
Man, we all got to try it. Macaulay Culkin shared his opinion in a viral TikTok posted by Mythical Kitchen. It seems to have ruffled a whole lot of feathers out there. People in the comments, they strongly disagreed, saying that if Die Hard isn't a Christmas movie, neither is Home Alone. With another person writing, Die Hard is just Home Alone with firearms.
Listen, I stay out of that debate every year because I consider Gremlins the first one a Christmas movie.
I do too.
And then I get heat for that.
People would say, well,
go ahead, send me the emails now. Get mad. Let's talk about the Queen of Christmas. She's been, I can never say this word. Thank you. All right, Wham's Last Christmas hit #1 on the Billboard chart this week. It's the first holiday song besides Mariah's All I Want for Christmas to reach the top since 2020. Mariah did set a new record this month for most weeks at #1, but Wham took the crown this time. Sit down. They didn't take the crown. It's still hers. Like,
it's still hers.
Calm down.
Yeah, well, did you know rapper Snoop Dogg has a holiday album? It was actually released back in 2008, but this year, Christmas may be, in fact, be in the dog house.
A rapper will be dropping... dropping it like it's hot on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
We're about to light up this Christmas in a real way. Come on in.
All right, Snoop is the halftime performer for the Lions-Vikings game Christmas Day. Netflix says the performance will feature chart-topping tracks, plenty of holiday spirit, and special guests.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Lions, NFL officials are warning Detroit to stop with the nose-picking celebrations.
Okay, yeah, this is new news to me. Last week, 3 Lions players added a twist to their first down celebrations against the Rams. All 3 mimicked digging in their noses and flicking a little something from their nose that way. On the latest episode of his podcast, Lions wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown, I got it wrong? Amon-Ra. Okay, thank y'all. St. Brown said NFL officials didn't like the celebration and warned them to stop or they would get a penalty. That is kind of nasty. You're sending a bad message to the kids.
Why are you doing that, Motor City Kitties?
Oh, no. Well, a big change is coming to the Oscars. The Academy Awards is moving the show all the way over to YouTube.
Yeah, it's a huge move considering the Oscars only streamed online for the first time this year with Disney putting the show on Hulu. Starting in 2029, YouTube will have global rights to stream the show through 2033. Ooh, a long time.
It is a long time.
Child. Lord have mercy. The platform will be home to all things Oscars, including red carpet coverage, the Governor's Awards, and the Oscar nomination announcement. And now, your anchors for the 5 o'clock news, Dawn and Scott. I was trying to do like an award ceremony.
That was an Oscar-winning announcement.
Well done.
Thank you.
Well done, Terrence.
Thank you, Terrence. Now at 5, mixed reaction to the Bears' expanded stadium search. Indiana leaders ready to roll out the red carpet, while Illinois leaders call it a slap in the face.
The family of a woman who died by suicide accusing her Chicago therapist of sexual abuse.
The Trump administration making new moves today to cut off gender-affirming care for children. Thank you for joining us at 5. I'm Dawn Hasbrook.
I'm Scott Schneider. We want to start tonight with the weather because, you know, we've seen it all this week, and that includes today's on-again, off-again downpours. Mark Strell in for Emily tonight. So are we done with the rain for now, Mark?
Yeah, we're done with the rain. And, you know, you said we saw it all. We saw it all not only this week, but today. We started out with temperatures in the 50s. We had rain, winds up to nearly 50 miles per hour across parts of the region. And tonight we could see a couple of snow showers as we tumble down into the lower teens. It is going to be cold tonight. You can still see we have clouds overnight tonight, but those clouds clearing out to a certain extent. Winds settling down a bit for the moment, but we're starting to pick back up. Rockford, 36-mile-per-hour wind gust. That, at the same time, the temperatures are dropping as well. Temperatures just a few hours ago still holding into the 40s. We had 40s and 50s across parts of Michigan and Indiana even 60 minutes ago, but the cold 30s are settling in on their way to the 20s later this evening, and again, eventually down into the lower teens. And the wind chill's already dropping down into the teens across parts of Winnebago County, up around Rockford, out to the west, to the north and northwest of Rochelle and Mendota. It is going to be cold overnight tonight. It's going to be cold tomorrow as well, with temperatures into the 20s, but we begin to warm up again as we head into Saturday before we cool right back down on Sunday. And then the rest of the week, well, it stays interesting as well. I'll tell you all about your travel weather coming straight ahead.
Thank you, Mark. The Chicago Bears stunned their fans with a surprise letter last night indicating they're now looking at Northwest Indiana for a possible new stadium. But how are public officials here in Illinois and now in Indiana reacting? And could the Bears actually leave the state?
Big story. We've got team coverage for you tonight. We started off with political reporter Perry Schutz.
Yeah, everyone thought they would just be talking about Bears-Packers this week, but not so much, Scott Dawn. Judging by the reaction from Indiana Republican Governor Michael Braun, the Hoosier State may be ready to roll out the red carpet to lure the team across state lines.
Governor Mike Braun tweeted, "The Chicago Bears recognize Indiana's pro-business climate, and I am ready to work with them to build a new stadium in Northwest Indiana," ending with, "Let's get it done." This comes after Bears CEO Kevin Warren penned a letter to season ticket holders yesterday saying that they are expanding their search once again throughout Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana. Indiana State Representative Earl Harris has led the effort to lure a new facility to the region and says they are serious.
There's lots of space in Northwest Indiana where we can make this work. When you look at East Chicago, Gary, Hammond, you get pretty close to the state line. I think that is going to be important in terms of people that live in Chicago, people that live in Illinois, making it easy for them to come over to Northwest Indiana to still go and attend Bears games. When you look at the highway, having that access in, when you look at even the South Shore and the train, having that easy access in. So the closer to the state line, I think it makes it even more attractive. And if I can add to that, I'm pretty confident from what I know in terms of space, when you look at the Bears and Chicago and where they are now, moving to Arlington is actually a further trip than them coming to East Chicago, Gary, or Hammond.
But the reaction in Illinois, not so positive. Governor Pritzker called it a, quote, startling slap in the face to the beloved and loyal fans. Meanwhile, State Representative Cam Buckner, who has been very critical of the Bears' desires, said, quote, as people across Illinois are reeling from the weight of rising property taxes, they are not interested in a professional sports franchise cutting to the front of the line for a property tax break. Even Arlington Heights State Representative Mary Beth Canty, who is sponsoring the legislation the Bears seek, said, quote, I encourage the Bears to engage with the General Assembly in good faith, without threats, so we can find a path forward to keep the Bears at home in Illinois. The legislation would give them the ability to negotiate their future property tax payments with the village of Arlington Heights, rather than pay full assessed value. That's something that could save them millions of dollars. Meanwhile, Mayor Brandon Johnson said if the search is once again open, then a city site should be in play.
The Bears belong in the city of Chicago. The Chicago Bears belong in the city of Chicago, right? And I've said repeatedly that the door is always open for conversations, and Kevin Warren did call me yesterday. We didn't get a chance to connect, and I still firmly believe that their best position is in Chicago, and it's evidence. The evidence is clearly speaking for itself.
And I asked Representative Harris, would Indiana lawmakers be willing to foot some of the bill with subsidies or tax breaks? He would not answer yes or no on that. Scott, I assume the political situation in Indiana might not be much easier than here in Illinois. I mean, you've got a football team already there in Indianapolis, and you've got a lot of Republican lawmakers that perhaps aren't going to be so crazy about tax subsidies for a team that they don't really root for, except for up in the Northwest side. But you saw the governor there. Let's get it done.
Yeah.
I look forward to your report tonight. Paris, thanks. So all this drama has a lot of Bears fans wondering, is this a real threat or is it just Kevin Warren trying to gain some leverage?
Let's bring in Brett Pagansky. Brett, this is just 2 days away from arguably the Bears' most important game of the year.
We're always nervous around this time of year, especially given the history here. You know, it's always big when the Bears play the Packers. This time, there's playoff implications and division supremacy on the line. You know, this game got flexed to Saturday night, but some may argue the focus is now on Kevin Warren and the Bears' future home. So we stopped by 670 The Score, Chicago sports radio station. The common response from callers today: Kevin Warren had one job, and that was to get the new stadium built for the Chicago Bears. But you got to keep this in mind. The Bears placed a bid for the former Arlington Park racetrack in 2021 and finalized the purchase in February of 2023. That was about a month after Kevin Warren was named Bears president. He formally took over in April of that year. So I spoke with Lawrence Holmes, afternoon host from 670 The Score, and he was talking about the timing of yesterday's announcement. Why now? Warren also promised to have shovels in the ground on a new stadium by the end of this year.
You're still waiting on a site, not even the building itself, but a site on where the Bears are going to put their new building. I found it to be a repetitive thought from people. I know that there are some people who say he had one job and he hasn't done it. His job is beyond just the stadium, but it's mostly the stadium.
So Lawrence also told me he feels the Bears are still going to build in Arlington Heights. They own the land after all. He also feels the players don't care what's happening right now. However, he did say there is going to be a section of fans who say the Bears created their own distraction if they end up losing Saturday night, Scott.
All right, Brett, thank you for that. We're following breaking news. Return for the man accused of setting a woman on fire on the CTA last month. Now, we previously reported on the lengthy rap sheet for Lawrence Reed. He's now facing a second count for terrorism for allegedly attempting to set fire to City Hall just 3 days prior to that CTA incident. Reed is set to appear in court tomorrow at noon.
We are also following breaking news out of North Carolina. Former NASCAR driver Greg Biffle was killed in a plane crash today at the Statesville Regional Airport, about 45 miles north of Charlotte. His wife and 2 children were also on board. The plane was attempting to land just after 10 a.m. local time. When it crashed, the group was reportedly headed to Treasure Cay International Airport in the Bahamas. Service at the airport is closed until further notice. Biffle began his NASCAR career in 1995. He was one of 3 drivers to win both the Busch Series and the Craftsman Truck Series. We'll have more on his legacy later in sports.
Now to a major moment today for the cannabis industry in the U.S., and it's happening right here in Chicago.
Federal officials have moved marijuana from a Schedule 1 to a Schedule 3 drug.
And this afternoon, one of the industry's top leaders is speaking out about what it means going forward. Leslie Moreno, live in Rhythm North with details. Leslie.
Hey guys, good evening. Yeah, this is a big day for the cannabis industry nationwide. It is the first major federal reclassification of marijuana in decades. President Donald Trump signed that executive order earlier today. The announcement marks a historic change. The federal government moving cannabis from a Schedule 1 to a Schedule 3 controlled substance. So what does this reclassification mean? The move formally recognizes marijuana's medical use and eases some federal restrictions. For legal cannabis businesses, it could mean major tax relief, more room to grow, and expanded research opportunities. However, it does not legalize marijuana at the federal level, change state laws, or automatically fix banking issues. Supporters say it's a major step forward, but not the final one.
This recognizes the decades of advocacy and the millions of Americans that have known for a long time that cannabis has medicinal and therapeutic benefits. 40 out of 50 states at this point have passed medical cannabis laws, and it is nice to see recognition at a federal level that's bringing the federal perspective closer to that of the states. There's approximately 450,000 Americans that are also part of this industry, the regulated state legal cannabis industry, and this will go tremendous strides to helping to normalize this very responsible, very respectable industry.
And talking to the average customer out here, there is also a sense of relief that there is finally some acknowledgement. In the Loop, Leslie Moreno, Fox 32 Chicago.
Still ahead on the news at 5, Pope Leo taps a Joliet bishop to lead one of the largest archdioceses in the country.
Also tonight, the Trump administration announcing major changes to the government's policy toward gender-affirming care.
And we are live in Rhode Island with breaking new details in the search for the Brown University gunman.
Stream.
Breaking news, Providence police have now identified the suspected Brown University shooter and have a warrant, according to Fox sources.
And this comes 6 days into the manhunt for the gunman who shot and killed 2 students and injured 9.
Kaylee Schuyler joins us live from Providence. Kaylee, what do we know now?
Hi, Scott and Don. Well, it's pretty quiet here on Brown's campus as we're learning a suspect has been identified in the shooting that took place in this engineering building behind me on Saturday night. This is day 6 of the manhunt, but we still don't know right now who this person could be, where they're located at, or what could have been a potential motive. Now, officials were expected to hold a press conference at 4 p.m. local time. That was over 2 hours ago now, but it's been postponed because they say because of all of these rapid updates. And we're also learning tonight that police are looking into a connection between the shooting that happened here on campus and a shooting on Monday where a 47-year-old MIT professor was shot in his home just outside of Boston. He died at the hospital Tuesday morning because of his injuries. Now, earlier this week, FBI Boston Special Agent in Charge Ted Dox told reporters that investigators were sharing intelligence regarding both cases but had not come up with a clear tie. Now, Massachusetts State Police is handling that case. The crime happened about 50 miles away from Brown's campus. And Providence police are handling the case here. The FBI is involved, and there are hundreds of officers on this case. And this is the only video we have of a person of interest. We don't know if this is the same person police have identified and have a warrant for now. But officials say the biggest hurdle in this manhunt is the lack of video evidence, because at the engineering building where the shooting happened, there's virtually a blind spot with very few cameras. And now Providence Mayor Brett Smiley says the city will be doing a review of the camera locations all around the city. And if we backtrack in this investigation a little bit, it was Sunday, the day after the shooting, that police had detained a person of interest. They were questioning this person nearly all day on Sunday, and they ultimately decided that they didn't have the right guy. So now this is really the next lead that we have now here tonight when they say they have identified a suspect. Now, we're told that the news conference tonight, the timing of that is fluid as officials are in a meeting right now. But something I think that's pretty interesting, reporters who are standing by for that press conference right now say officials have taken the tip line sign off of the podium that's been up there for every single news conference this week. In Providence, Rhode Island, Kaylee Schuyler, Fox 32 Chicago.
In New York, for the past 3 weeks, defense attorneys for Luigi Mangione have tried to convince a judge to throw out certain evidence in his case, and that includes a gun and notebook that prosecutors claim link him to the murder of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. His attorneys argue anything found in his backpack should be excluded from his trial because police did not have a search warrant and lacked the grounds to justify a warrantless search. Mangione has pleaded not guilty to state and federal charges. The judge says he will rule on that evidence in May.
Breaking news tonight, TikTok signing a deal to sell its U.S. unit to American investors, and that includes Oracle and Silver Lake. A law signed by former President Joe Biden last year required the app's China-based parent company, ByteDance, to sell its U.S. assets or face a nationwide ban. President Trump's hand-picked board voting to rename Washington's iconic Performing Arts Center to the Trump Kennedy Center. The White House making that announcement earlier today, citing the president's efforts to, quote, save the building. The Kennedy family has previously pushed back on the idea, with Maria Shriver saying a bill in Congress to rename the center was, quote, insane.
The Trump administration is also cracking down on gender-affirming care. The nation's top health officials just announced a series of new actions designed to block the care for minors.
They betrayed the estimated 300,000 American youth ages 13 to 17, conditioned to believe that sex can be changed. They betrayed their Hippocratic oath to do no harm.
The sweeping proposals include cutting off federal Medicaid and Medicare funding from hospitals that provide gender-affirming care to children and prohibiting federal Medicaid dollars from being used to fund the procedures. But advocates say this will only harm children with gender dysmorphia by denying them the care they need. And some Democrats on Capitol Hill, including the first openly trans member of Congress, claim Republicans are using this issue to draw attention away from the affordability crisis.
I actually think they think more about trans people than trans people think about trans people. They are consumed with this, and they are extreme on it.
Kennedy also announced the HHS Office of Civil Rights will propose a rule excluding gender dysphoria from the definition of a disability. We did reach out to Lurie Children's, which tells us they are actively reviewing the rules to understand what they mean for the hospital. These proposals are not final or legally binding. The federal government must go through a long rulemaking process, including periods of public comment and document rewrites before the restrictions become permanent. They are also likely to face some legal challenges. Dawn.
Terrence, thank you. House Republicans passing legislation they say will lower health care costs by more than 10%, but it does not include an extension of subsidies for insurance plans bought through the Affordable Health Care Act. And that is expected to drive up costs for 22 million Americans at the beginning of the year. The legislation is unlikely to pass the Senate without the extensions. Democrats on the House Oversight Committee have released dozens of photos from Jeffrey Epstein's estate. Among them, an image of philosopher Noam Chomsky on a plane with Epstein. Another photo shows a woman's foot with a quote from Lolita, the famed 1955 novel about a man's sexual obsession with a 12-year-old girl. Tomorrow is the deadline for the Justice Department to release most of the files related to Epstein's sex trafficking case.
Immigration agents appear to be returning to the Chicago area. We saw Border Patrol Chief Gregory Bovino in Forest Park just yesterday, where he was confronted by residents. He also exchanged words with Evanston Mayor Daniel Biss. At least 15 people detained yesterday, including day laborers and a tamale vendor. The family of a Filipino woman who's been detained by ICE in Indiana for 9 long months is saying it's now time to release their mom or deport her back home. 71-year-old Rebecca Pinyard, a green card holder, has been detained in the Clark County Detention Center. Her kids traveling from Kentucky to meet with the Philippines Consulate General trying to get her released. They say she hasn't been receiving her medication, hasn't seen the sun in 9 months, and is now in deep despair.
At this point, me and my family were just desperate to have her out of the detention center, whether it be by deportation or her release. You know, we just want to make sure that she doesn't, you know, die in there, right? At this point, you know, like, we have real concerns about her health. You know, I'm afraid for her life. Like, I don't want her to die, for that to be the place that she dies in that detention center.
Family members say they're doing everything they can to get her out of that facility. The biggest concern right now, her health, and that she no longer is getting that needed medication.
Let's check our forecast now. Meteorologist Mark Strell tracking this rain we've had all day and, of course, the temps. Hi, Mark.
Yeah, the rains are out of here. The temps are dropping. We could see a few snowflakes later on this evening as well. And the wind chills, kind of the icing on top of the cake here. Wind chills now dropping into the lower 30s. We've got wind chills all the way down in the teens around the Rockford area. And that's what's coming here tonight as our temperatures eventually dip down into the teens and the lower teens. That's what we're talking about for overnight low temperatures. Starting out in the 30s right now, pushing into the 20s by 10 o'clock. We're into the teens after midnight, and by the time the sun comes up tomorrow, we should be down to around 11, 12 degrees. So it's going to be a very cold start to the day tomorrow. There goes the rain. It's all pushing away. Here's the snowfall kind of circulating around the upper Midwest, bringing some snowfall from Minnesota into Iowa. And this is not going to be a major event for us, but you can see a couple little dashes of some blue on the Futurecast as we go through the next several hours. A couple of snow showers possible tonight. Not a big deal, but the cold is. I'll tell you more about that. Plus, a pretty decent 7-day forecast straight ahead.
Here comes.
Welcome back. Brian Walsh, the Boston man found guilty of murdering his wife nearly 3 years ago, has been sentenced to life in prison without parole.
Brian pleaded guilty last month to dismembering his wife before disposing of her body in a dumpster. Prosecutors found a myriad of evidence linking Brian to the crime, including surveillance video and online searches he made related to the murder. They believe Anna was killed due to an affair she was having. The couple's 3 children remain in state custody.
A former Harvard Medical School morgue manager sentenced to 8 years behind bars for stealing and selling body parts. 58-year-old Cedric Lodge pleading guilty to shipping things like brains, skin, hands, even faces to buyers in Pennsylvania and all over the country, in fact, from body parts collected from cadavers donated to the university that were no longer needed for research.
An employee at an Ace Hardware store saw his life flash before his eyes. That SUV crashed into the front of his store and came within inches of him. This happened in California. Authorities say the 16-year-old clerk was still able to quickly escort his customers outside while the building started to catch fire. Everyone survived. The driver only suffered minor injuries, but the store, of course, suffered massive damage.
Okay, so you're dining at a nice upscale restaurant when suddenly, out of nowhere, a raccoon falls through the ceiling. It happened at an eatery in Wisconsin. Police and guests a little perplexed over what to do next.
We gotta figure out how to get this thing out of here. He's pissed. That's frowned upon.
Did you hear that person ask why you can't tase it? Well, no, you can't. So they used a garbage can and then called in a trapper.
Let up? Yep, let up.
You got a cage ready?
What's up? Hold on. Okay, I got it. Hold.
Just put the cage down.
No, I got it. Let go.
You want to put the cage in the can?
Yes. Put it right in there. I mean, how much folks see?
50107. He's in custody.
Yeah, in custody, but this is not a happy ending. They had to euthanize the little critter because he bit somebody. State veterinarians in Madison then had to test for rabies. Other than that, guest, apparently no one else was bit.
Well, still ahead on the news at 5, the holiday season is supposed to be filled with joy, but for some, they feel isolation and rejection.
In Buffalo Grove, one group is trying to bring those people both support and connection.
And it is official. Chicago's first ever Division I football team heading to the South Side.
I'm Lou Canellis. Bears and Packers haven't battled each other twice in a 3-week span in 27 years. And Saturday, yeah, they'll go at it against each other with a possible playoff spot on the line. But today, we learned the Bears will be without 2 of their 3 best receivers. Tell me it's not so. Details later in sports.
Make the most of your season during the Kia.
Now, at the bottom of the hour, Juliet Bishop will now be leading nearly 3 million Catholics in New York.
Weather whiplash. We saw the rain. We've enjoyed the warm-up. Now get ready for a major cool down. Will we see snow along with it?
First, the family of a 21-year-old who died last year alleges in a lawsuit that her therapist began sexually assaulting her when she was just 14.
And that suit goes on to claim that the abuse led to her suicide.
Casey Cronus is live with what we are learning today. Casey.
The family attorney claims that after years of alleged abuse, that young woman never trusted another counselor again and continued to grapple with mental health issues. Filed on behalf of the estate of Annabelle Hodder, the wrongful death lawsuit names her former therapist, Matthew Rounds, and 2 institutions where he worked, Insight Psychological Centers and Chicago Psychological Health and Wellness. In 2016, the lawsuit states Annabelle started therapy for depression. That's when the family's attorney says Rounds began sexually assaulting her, claiming that Rounds even asked Annabelle, who lived in Northwest Indiana, to introduce him to other minors. At one point, the lawsuit states he allegedly met Annabelle and other teen girls at a motel in Hammond, where he is accused of paying them for sex acts. In response to the allegations, Insight tells us they will respond through the legal process, but takes the allegations seriously, while the phone number for Chicago Psychological has been disconnected. It was the alleged abuse that the family's attorney says led Annabelle to take her own life in July of 2024.
The consent piece is actually twofold in this case. One, she's a minor. So first and foremost, there's no capacity to consent to a sexual relationship, if you will. But also, because she is a patient of the therapist, she also doesn't have the ability to actually consent to some sort of a relationship.
Do you think criminal charges could stem from this?
I think they absolutely could. It's my hope that they do, and if they do, my firm and certainly the family will do anything they can to support law enforcement with criminal charges.
Rounds currently works for Sagent Behavioral Health in Minnesota. Yesterday, we emailed the complaint and asked them for a statement. Soon after, Rounds was taken off their website. A spokesperson writing, quote, "We just learned of this lawsuit. Due to the seriousness of the allegations, we have placed our employee on leave while we investigate. Our heartfelt condolences to the family on the loss of their daughter." Right now, no criminal charges have been filed against Rounds. We made several attempts to reach him for a statement, but have not yet heard back. There is a status hearing in the civil case scheduled for next month. Reporting live downtown, Casey Cronus, Fox 32, Chicago.
An update now to a story that we brought you yesterday. A grieving mom calling on the Chicago police and the Cook County State's Attorney's Office to charge an undocumented migrant.
The man owns the car that caused the crash, but says he was the passenger and not the driver when it all went down. Tia Ewing hearing from another family that wants accountability.
Yeah, this is another family impacted by this just horrible crash. The family of Deanna Kulovitz has retained Clifford law offices since she was killed. The 23-year-old was the friend of Prince Jamel Sullivan. They went to De La Salle High School together. Sullivan was set to drop Kulovitz off at home, returning from a night out when Sullivan's car had some type of mechanical issue, pulled over, and that's when the car belonging to Miguel Angel Navarrete Palacios crashed into them, causing both cars to catch fire. Sullivan and Kulovitz, a 911 dispatcher, were killed instantly. Kulovitz followed in her family's footsteps, with nearly everyone in her family serving the city of Chicago. She was the newest to join that tradition with OEMC. The family's attorney, Joseph Murphy, sent a statement, and here's some of what it had to say. "I am conducting a comprehensive investigation into exactly what happened leading up to the crash. Deanna's family is shattered. They are entering the holidays with an empty seat at the table and a silence in their home that cannot be filled. We will seek justice for Deanna and ensure those responsible are held fully accountable." As for Sullivan, his mother, Stephanie Hartley, she spoke with us on camera, and she too is calling for accountability.
When you saw that name on that police report, the first thing came to my mind was, he's a immigrant. He's an immigrant. They're protecting him. And I want justice just in case he try to leave. The detectives don't even call, don't even reply back. It hurts because why is he getting a slap on the wrist and my baby's not here?
So let's get into the details of what we know about this crash. Hartley's son, Prince Sullivan, and again, his friend Deanna Kulovitz were in the 3900 block of South Lakeshore Drive on November 23rd when the crash happened. Police say Palacios' Kia blew a stop sign and slammed into Sullivan's Chevy Malibu, sparking a fire that killed both 23-year-olds. Palacio, an undocumented migrant from Ecuador, survived but is not charged. He told police he was not driving and claimed a man he had just met, Isaias Rodriguez, was behind the wheel. Rodriguez later died at the University of Chicago Medical Center. Now, Palacios is insured through Kemper Insurance, which provides coverage to undocumented drivers. The Chicago-based company said it could not comment, citing privacy policies, but they did give us a quote, and here's some of it. "This is a tragic situation, and our thoughts are with everyone affected." Of course, this is a story we will continue to follow. In the newsroom right now, Tia Ewing, Fox 32 Chicago.
Thank you, Tia. Turning now to stalled budget talks. Mayor Johnson says he will do whatever it takes to avert a government shutdown. This as alders are advancing an alternative budget that does not include his corporate head tax. The revised revenue package would raise taxes on plastic shopping bags and the sale of liquor for off-premise consumption, authorize video gambling, and apply congestion fees to Uber and Lyft rides in a broader downtown area.
I disagree that the only way to replace the revenue from the corporate head tax that would fund our community safety endeavors is with fines and fees on working people across this city. I think that it is the wrong solution. It is a one-time revenue that is entirely speculative and would result in debt collectors harassing residents who have fallen behind on some of their bills.
The budget, the revised revenue package to support it, and the management ordinance are all poised for final approval by the full city council as early as Saturday. Mayor Johnson has suggested he may not veto the alternative budget to avoid a shutdown. The deadline is December 30th.
Okay, so again, let's talk about what's going on outside because we've seen it all this week, the whole gamut. We've been so cold, we've warmed up, we've had snow, we've had rain, we've had melting. Where are we going from here?
What you've just described pretty much describes this 24-hour period as well, kind of a little microcosm. We started out with 50s today. By tomorrow morning, we're going to end up down to around 12. We have had some cloud cover, some rain. We'll end up with a few snow showers tonight, and winds still gusting at times up to around 40 miles per hour during the early overnight hours. But those winds will taper off. Still breezy as we go through the early part of the day and into the afternoon. So tomorrow with daytime highs only in the 20s and winds blowing around 10 to 15 to 20 miles per hour. We're still going to be talking about some pretty good wind chills throughout the day tomorrow. Still breezy all the way through the early part of the weekend, but at least we start to warm up a little bit for Saturday. We make it back up into the 40s. So we had 50s today. We'll have 20s tomorrow, 40s on Saturday, 20s on Sunday, 30s on Monday, and then we go into a stretch of 40s for Tuesday, for Christmas Eve. And look at this, 50 degrees on Christmas Day, Dawn.
I love it. Thank you, Mark. A Joliet Archbishop is getting a big promotion. Pope Leo has named Bishop Ronald Hicks the new leader of the New York Archdiocese. The announcement came today. Bishop Hicks officially accepted his appointment alongside other faith leaders. He's replacing Cardinal Timothy Dolan, who served in New York for 17 years. Hicks has been serving as the bishop of the Diocese of Joliet for 5 years. By the way, he was born in Harvey, grew up in South Holland, and get this, he says it was 14 blocks away from Pope Leo in Dalton. He says he will carry the faith, generosity, and spirit of the diocese as he begins his new chapter in ministry.
I am committed to working with the great variety and diversity of faith leaders and civic leaders to keep that hope alive and to make real the promise of the Golden Door by acting in mutual respect and working to uphold human dignity.
Hicks will continue serving the Diocese of Joliet until his installation in New York. He will be installed February 6th at St. Patrick's Cathedral.
Okay, so after 3 long months of literally being trapped inside her apartment due to a broken elevator, a suburban woman says she can finally get out. We talked about this poor woman, Joyce Isom, earlier this month, relying on a walker, lives on the 2nd floor of Whistler's Crossing in Riverdale. And with her building's sole elevator broken, she has not been able to leave that apartment. But now, after Fox Chicago highlighted her story, she says the elevator at long last was repaired 2 days ago. Well, it began as a simple idea: send cards to people who felt alone during the holidays.
A year ago, we introduced you to a local group writing handwritten notes to LGBTQ plus people nationwide. 4 years in, we will show you how it has evolved.
Okay, so a holiday card campaign you might remember has grown well beyond what it started as.
Terrence Lee went to Buffalo Grove and learned what is driving that growth.
And what's driving it is need, Dawn and Scott. People in northwest suburbs are writing holiday cards to LGBTQ plus people who ask for one. It's a project that's been around for years. What's changed is how much it's been needed. The Pinta Pride Project matches people who want to write with people who want to receive a card. Some say they have been cut off from their family entirely. Others say work doesn't feel safe or supportive. All say the holidays really amplify the isolation, rejection, and uncertainty they feel. So organizers say interest from writers is growing as support in other spaces is getting harder to find. Carolyn Pinta helps run the project.
We have lost some sponsorships, not surprisingly, for the parade that we do every year. And the folks that I talk to at those companies are so upset because it's not them that's making the decision not to participate. In fact, a lot of them are part of the community themselves, and it's leadership.
The holiday card campaign runs through the end of the month. You can learn more on our website. Tonight at 9 in a special report, some of the cards are going to service members caught in the middle of a policy change that could end their careers. Dawn?
All right, thank you, Terrence. Most of the snow is melting away, but the heat wave, as we like to call it, is not going to be here long.
Yeah, Mark's going to talk about the cool down that's heading our way. His full forecast is after the break.
I'm Luke Canellis. Hey, for the Bears, Saturday's game against the Packers will be a test of their mettle. And as we learned today, a test of their depth at wide receiver as well. The latest injury report is out. What now for the Bears after two of their top receivers have been ruled out? Details next in sports.
People don't talk about
Let's check this forecast. So the rain has moved out, which is
Yep,
good.
that's out.
So what about these temps? They're moving down?
They're going down. The
Okay.
winds are staying up, and we also could have some flakes and flurries flying around tonight as well. So, you know, A to Z, we've got it all here.
There you
go.
One day. Here's what we're looking for overnight low temperatures tonight. We're going to 14 tonight at the lakeshore, 12 degrees at O'Hare and Midway. Get out into the suburbs, places like even DeKalb, 9 degrees, 11 in Aurora, 12 degrees in Joliet. Wind chills will obviously be much colder, especially with those blustery winds this evening. And then high temperatures tomorrow. Look at this. We're talking about temperatures only in the 20s. After daytime highs today, or at least 24-hour high temperature today in the 50s. I say that because it came earlier in the day. 38 degrees right now, winds out of the west at 15 miles per hour, some higher gusts, but that makes it feel like 29 degrees this hour. Again, we're going way colder than that overnight tonight. Temperatures, look at this. We're still holding on to some 40s across northwest Indiana. About an hour and a half ago, I could have showed you some 50s over here, but the cold air is filtering in pretty quickly. Already Rockford at 29 degrees. We're holding in the 30s, but again, we're going down into the teens, and not just the teens, the low teens overnight tonight. There's the rainfall that's moving away. There's some snow circulating around a low pressure area, so maybe a snow shower this evening. I don't think it'll be a huge deal for us, but if you do see some snow shower or any snow activity at all, it could slicken up the roads tonight, so be careful of that. 26. That's your daytime high temperature tomorrow. Then on Saturday, we're up to 43. Sunday, we're back into the 20s. Some sunshine's coming Sunday, and I think that's about the only mostly sunny sky day that we'll have. Overnight tonight, well, you could see a couple of specks of blue in here, some snow showers. Again, I don't think the snowfall is going to be a big deal. Clouds in the morning, we should clear some of the cloud cover out as we go throughout the day on tomorrow, a very cold day. And another reinforcing shot of some colder air coming in later in the weekend. So the forecast looks like this tonight. Overnight low temperatures down to 12. Daytime highs tomorrow into the 20s. We warm fairly nicely on Saturday up to 43. But then cool down sharply again on Sunday, 28. We're 38 degrees on Monday, 45 degrees on Tuesday. We stay in the 40s, upper 40s as we push towards Christmas Eve. And look at this, Christmas Day, high temperatures of 50 degrees, Dawn.
Wow, we love it, Mark. Thank you. It's official. Chicago State University will soon have a football team. It is the first time, in fact. The historic milestone marks a new era for Chicago State athletics and the university community. Athletic department officials shared more about the program's vision and timeline today. Alumni, staff, and students were there for the exciting announcement and the new head coach.
Kickoff is only 254 days away. All right? Football at Chicago State will be more than wins and losses, guys. It's going to be about building a program built on building men first, character, integrity, and building leaders. We will recruit athletes that can run with the mission of Chicago State. Guys, we're trying to take this thing nationwide, man.
Isn't that exciting? Trustees voted unanimously to bring the Division I football program to the Southside School on Wednesday. In fact, the season starts for the Cougars in the fall of 2026.
As cool as that is, when it comes to the pros, the Bears actually gearing up for what they are calling the Midwest Super Bowl.
Lewis here with how the team is feeling ahead of the Packers rematch.
I don't know if anyone can contain their excitement right now. Bears a week ago were underdogs into this rematch with the Packers. And then the Packers lost Micah Parsons, flipping the odds, making the Bears favorites. But now the Bears' latest injury report may turn the number again. Bears will be without two of their three best receivers Saturday, Rome Odunze and Luther Burden. Both were held out of today's practice. Odunze's missed the last two games with chronic foot issues. Burden hurt his ankle against the Browns. Tremaine Edmonds is questionable, but was a full participant in today's practice. That's for the first time in a month, so that's great news. Ben Johnson, he's going to miss Odunze and Burden, but believes in the team's depth at wide receiver.
I've been really pleased with that room. I think we got some young guys in there that we were really impressed with throughout training camp. that ended up being on the practice squad. And you know, if called upon, I think they've done a great job soaking the offense in over the course of the season so far and being involved.
We just seem to figure it out, man. I think it's always next man up mentality, and I think we've really embodied that this year. There's no hesitation from the coaching staff. You never feel that, and they're always on to the next when a guy goes down, and they got a lot of faith in everybody that's in here.
We still got a job to do. The people coming in will do their job and do it to the best of their ability, and we just go out there and play football.
I like it. Plenty at stake Saturday night. Both the Bears and Packers can clinch a playoff berth with a win and a Lions loss or tie Sunday against Pittsburgh. Now, Bears have lost the last 6 matchups at Soldier Field against the Packers. And overall, they've dropped 30 of 36 against Green Bay since the start of the 2008 season. I hate even talking about that. Our coverage of the Bears and Packers game Saturday begins with Bears Game Day Live at 1:30. Again, special time, Bears Game Day Live, 1:30. Kickoff between the Bears and Packers, 7:20. After the game, you better keep it right here. We'll hear from Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams, go inside the Bears locker room, and we are going to break down the Bears-Packers Battle Royale. Hey, Cubs add some power to their lineup. Might come from an unlikely source. How about this? They have reportedly signed first baseman Tyler Austin to a 1-year deal. Austin hasn't played in the major leagues since 2019, but he has been a star in Japan the last 6 seasons, putting up big offensive numbers. And as we told you earlier in the newscast, NASCAR champion Greg Biffle, his wife and 2 children were all killed along with 3 others earlier today in a plane crash in North Carolina. Biffle and his wife opened their lives and shared their family on social media postings, even till just hours before the plane crash at 10 this morning. Biffle and his wife were active with charities. Their daughter Emma was 14 years old. His son Ryder, just 5 years old.
Fox 32 News is brought to you by your
So from rain today, maybe some flakes tonight?
Yeah, some flakes, maybe a snow shower. And from 50s today to 20s tomorrow.
Oh, boy.
And we're going to start out the day with temperatures only in the teens. It's going to be cold with the wind chills tomorrow as well. But then look what happens on Saturday. We're up to 43 before we come tumbling back down again on Sunday, 28. The weather forecast is more like a yo-yo than anything else. We're in the upper 30s on Monday, and then the 40s as we go into Tuesday and Christmas Eve. By Christmas Day, 5-0, baby.
About that. All right, Mark, thank you, and thanks for joining us at 5.
Now you can stream us on your smart TV with Fox Local.
We're on all the streaming platforms.
Family Feud is next. We'll see you tonight at 9.
When you walk in.
The Bears are getting ready for their biggest game in years, but are the Packers still Bears fans' #1 worry? We'll hear from Ben Johnson, who told us today he will have to reach into his depth at wide receiver. If you're not interested in the Bears-Packers game, we may have an alternative. But even comedian Steve Ranazizi admits he'd like to see the Bears-Packers game. The former star of The League on FX stops by. Finally, our political reporter, Paris Schutz, has been talking to politicians here in the state of Illinois and Indiana all day long, trying to find out if the Bears are serious about going to the region. It's now on a Thursday night edition of Chicago Sports Tonight.
From Fox 32 Chicago Sports, this is Chicago Sports Tonight.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lou Canellis. Glad you could join us on this Thursday night. Bears practiced indoors today ahead of Saturday's Battle Royale with the Packers. Green Bay will be without Micah Parsons. We've been talking about that all week long. Bears have their own injuries they'll be dealing with. 2 of their top 3 receivers will not play in this game. Rome Odunze and Luther Burden didn't practice and were ruled out for the Packers game. 3rd straight game, the Bears will be without Odunze, who's their leading receiver. Devin Duvernay, the kick returner, who played 10 snaps at wide receiver, actually had a catch against the Browns as well last Sunday, could get more playing time. Ben Johnson's happy with his depth at the position, and even happier his Bears are playing meaningful football here in the